It's time to take a look at the best aviation videos of 2023 from the series, so enjoy! First up is this Airbus A321neo, coming in unusually low, almost hitting spectators while landing in Skiathos, Greece. This Boeing 727 was overloaded and took off at the last second, spraying debris onto people at the end of the runway. This Airbus A350 landing at London Heathrow was battling a crosswind and ended up landing a lot harder than usual, resulting in this.
Oh, easy! Oh my flipping heck! Wow! I'm surprised that's not touch and go, mate.
This student pilot entered a spin as a training maneuver, and the instructor explained how you get out of one.
Okay, full backstick, full rudder. Go. Go. Look at the airspeed.
Yeah.
And call out whether it's stable or not.
Yeah.
Stable. Look at the altitude. Call off every.
Yeah, that's 0 now. I like
6,000. Let go of this. Just keep the stick back like that. Yeah.
5.5.
You can let go of the stick.
Let go of the stick.
It doesn't do anything. See.
Okay. It's scaring me.
5,000. Okay, coming up to 4.5.
Yeah.
So hands on the dash.
Hands on the dash.
Opposite rudder. Push that rudder. Push that rudder. Push it. Push.
Push.
There you go. Now grab the stick. Pull out the dive.
Fucking hell.
3,200 feet.
This Boeing 757 was forced to land too fast due to its flaps being stuck in the takeoff position. The plane landed while going 160 knots and was met by fire services. This Boeing 767 was landing at an airport in Brazil, but came in low and almost hit the mountain wall before the runway. This plane, trying to land in a crosswind, was sent into a nosedive by the extreme winds above the runway. The plane was forced to go around and attempt the landing again. This plane has to nosedive for the runway to be able to land. This is St. Barthélemy, one of the most challenging airports to land at in the world, and this is how planes approach it.
Oh my God! Oh my goodness me!
This C5M Galaxy took off too slow, forcing the Airbus A330 behind it to go around. This Boeing 757 was taking off when it had an engine failure, causing a fire in the engine.
No, it's just trying to take off. Blew a motor.
Fire crews quickly responded to the scene, and this happened at John Wayne Airport in California. This F-15 was taking off when suddenly it had a compressor stall, causing flames to shoot out of the engine. This Airbus A350 is struggling to take off as it only has one functioning engine and half its usual power. This pilot had to land on a busy highway after an engine failure. Managed to land in a curve and avoid the cars. This happened in North Carolina. This Boeing 777 aborting its takeoff and applying full rudder. This led to the plane literally drifting across the runway. This Boeing 737 took off but turned too much, causing the bank angle alarm to go off.
Bank angle.
This Boeing 737 was too heavy and could barely take off before the end of the runway. This Boeing 747 struck a bird while taking off from an airport in India. This Boeing 737 had a tail strike while taking off from Iceland, as you can hear by the distinct sound. In most cases, the plane would return back to the airport, but in this case, the pilots decided to continue to their destination. This Airbus A330 hit a light pole while taxiing. Even though this wasn't during takeoff, it was close to it and resulted in minor damage, but luckily no one was injured. This trailer getting blown over by a Boeing 777 jet blast. This was done as a test and no one was injured. This Airbus A310 was doing a low pass when it suddenly turned left and nearly struck its wing. Whoa! This happened at an air show in Portugal. This Boeing 747 destroying the terrain next to the runway while taking off. The runway recently had new sod put down next to it, and that was no match for the powerful 747. This Joss Gripen jet was flying really slow when another jet almost hit it. Luckily, they managed to barely avoid each other. This hot air balloon in Sweden had clearance to pass over an airport, but as they were passing over it, the wind stopped and they couldn't move. They maintained their altitude so the plane below them could still take off, and this is how it looked. This Airbus A330 that was taking off when at the last second a flock of birds struck the plane, causing damage to the engine. The engine started vibrating, so the pilots declared an emergency and had to return to the airport. The plane then had to land while overweight since it was supposed to burn its fuel from Dublin to Chicago. But they landed safely and luckily no one was injured. A fire broke out next to this plane at Melbourne Airport in Australia after a ground vehicle caught on fire. The plane wasn't damaged and luckily no one was injured. This Finnair Boeing 757 was taking off from Helsinki when a large eagle flew into the engine. This person was laying down at the end of a runway when a plane came in for landing. This plane got struck by lightning. This Boeing 777X doing a dangerously steep takeoff to show off at an air show. Takeoffs like these are obviously not possible with passengers, but this was at the 2022 Farnborough Air Show. This guest at an air show got a free ride in a plane, but when the pilot got out, the guest stole the plane and was not very good at flying.
That is not the prescribed method for a takeoff. Yikes! Oh, buddy, pull back! No, now he's coming this way. Stop! Ah! No, 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 no! Oh, dear me.
As you might have guessed, this was staged, but whoever was flying did a good job acting. This Airbus A319 flying really close to another plane. Then they did it again, but this time even closer. This was at an air show in Slovakia. This Airbus A380 was taking off in a dangerously steep climb. This was intentional at an air show in Paris. This F-16 went a little too fast at an air show, almost breaking the sound barrier.
I don't know. Oh, wait a minute.
This C-27 making a very steep approach.
Keď lietadlo pomocou sklzu vykoná mimoriadne správne pristátie, počas ktorého sa lietadlo nerozbieha, ale efektívne vytráca výšku a dostáva sa do výšky podrovnania a dosadne na vzletovú a pristávaciu dráhu na minimálnej vzdialenosti a pri najbližšej možnosti opustenia dráhy, to znamená pri najbližšej rolovačke.
This is the US Air Force Thunderbirds flying very low over a beach. This Piper Cub pilot is actually very skilled, but during this airshow act he tried to fly as bad as possible, resulting in 2 wing strikes.
Hey, Tor, look out. Liz, he's coming at you.
Well, actually, he might have figured it out. I think he's working his way back over to the runway. Well, I don't know if he can hear us at all, but if you pull back on the stick, the houses get smaller. You push forward on the stick, the houses get bigger. If you pull back on the stick far enough, the houses get bigger. Here too, so Zippy's gonna shoot each other. Look at him. He's getting that Karate Kid move right there.
Wow. I don't think you figured out that crosswind wing. You got the upwind wing in the air.
Oh, what is this?
That's a real wing dinger.
Yeah, that is. Oh, gosh.
This is how an FA-18 shooting sounds.
Sicherheitszone mit dem
This F-111 shooting huge flames known as a dump and burn maneuver. Show in Australia and the last ever dump and burn display in the world. This Airbus A321 landed and bounced, almost resulting in a tail strike. This Cessna 180 suffered a ground loop while landing at an airshow. This Embraer 190 had to make an emergency landing without its nose gear. The pilot kept the nose up for as long as possible before coming to a stop, and this happened in the Bahamas. This Airbus A330 had an engine failure 1 hour after leaving the airport, forcing it to dump fuel and return for an emergency landing. Only one engine was used for reverse thrust, but luckily the plane came to a stop. This Boeing 747 landed very hard in Amsterdam. This plane had just touched down when it went off the runway and crashed into a parked helicopter. The pilot lost control while landing in St. Bartholomew, but luckily everyone was okay afterwards. This Beechcraft Bonanza was approaching Oshkosh when it hit another plane's wake turbulence and had a very close call. This Aerosucre Boeing 727 was approaching an airport in Colombia without tower control and without visibility in bad weather conditions, and when they came out of the clouds they noticed they were not really lined up with the runway at all. They then made the decision to abort the landing attempt. This Boeing 737 had an issue with its reverse thrust, forcing it to land in wet conditions without it. This plane entering a spin, basically falling out of the sky. This Boeing 727 pilot couldn't wait to retract the landing gear. It looks like he needed to do it to gain altitude. This Boeing 737 pilot really wanted to take the first exit after landing, using full brakes to make it. It still wasn't enough, so they decided to make a U-turn on the runway. This helicopter dropping a car in Iceland. This Boeing 777 was just about to touch down, but then it started gaining altitude again. In order to land before it was too late, the pilot slammed it into the ground. This Airbus A340 landing too fast due to a flaps issue, forcing it to land without flaps. This Boeing 737 was landing in strong winds when the plane became unstable, almost causing a wing strike. This F-15 had a hydraulic failure, causing the brakes to stop working, and the pilot had to land without them. To stop the jet, the pilot had to use the arrestor hook and a capture cable on the runway.
Runway operations suspended due to cable engagement. Expect runway operations to resume in 45 miles. Go.
This Boeing 767 almost had a tail strike. This Boeing 767 had to go around due to an Airbus A330neo still taking off on the same runway. This Boeing 737 landing very hard before the touchdown zone due to wind shear. The person recording was not really prepared for the early landing, but still managed to catch the touchdown. According to them, the plane was damaged because of the hard landing, and this happened at an airport in the Caribbean. This Royal Air Force pilot reacting fast after takeoff to avoid a bird. These planes landing in a foggy Amsterdam, creating a cool effect. This Boeing 737 pilot did not want to abort the landing and decided to go through with it despite the strong winds. And this decision resulted in a safe landing. This Boeing 737 bouncing multiple times before finally settling down. This This Airbus A310 was about to leave Manchester when a massive fuel leak erupted out of the left wing tank, causing the plane to get evacuated.
Vento come agisce.
This Airbus A350 landing in strong crosswinds had to go around. This Airbus A380 approach became unstable, resulting in a go-around.
Oh my goodness, it's a go-around. Wow. Holy cow.
This was at Christchurch Airport in New Zealand, and this is how the second attempt went.
Oh no.
This Boeing 737 making a hard landing in Las Vegas.
You had a burst here. Shit. 905.
This is an inflatable boat that can fly, and here it is taking off and landing. This person stopped by Death Valley in California and managed to capture these fighter jets training.
Oh my god! Whoa! Dude, I got goosebumps. Holy. Coming in. Woo! Whoa! Oh my god, look it! Whoa!
This Boeing 727 landing at St. Martin, flying extremely low over a crowd of spectators on the beach.
And we are number 2 again, Roller 640.
This ATR 72 landing at Manchester Airport had to abort its landing because of the strong winds. This was the second attempt. This Eurofighter coming straight at the person filming, then making a steep takeoff. This Embraer 145 leaking fuel out of its wing mid-air. According to the person recording, it's a known issue that when the plane is fully fueled, some fuel will overflow through a vent on the underside of the wing. This Boeing 737 landing really shows how air moves over the wings and creates condensation. I captured this video myself the other day on a flight to Stockholm, Sweden. This Spirit plane taking off with a Delta Airbus A321 landing at the same time on the runway next to it. This was in Atlanta, United States. These two F-35s were cleared to make unrestricted climbs, meaning they will climb very quickly after clearing the runway at a very low altitude. And the second one came really close to the trees. Airbus A320 landing hard in a crosswind with a bounce. This is the US Navy Blue Angels taking off together in perfect synchrony. This Airbus A340 taking off from a wet runway, creating a lot of spray. This plane, attempting to land in extremely windy conditions, had to abort. This was at Wellington Airport in New Zealand. This US Black Hawk helicopter was forced to make an emergency landing on a street in Bucharest, tearing down 2 street lights and stopping traffic, and this person captured it on their dashcam. The helicopter was part of a group of 6 which were rehearsing for the Romanian Air Force Day when it began losing altitude, leading to the emergency landing. Luckily, no one was injured. This Vance RV6 pilot made a hard landing, resulting in a bounce. Despite that, the pilot managed to recover. These planes taking off at the exact same time from San Francisco, making it look like a race. This Delta Airbus A330 landing on the shortest runway at Amsterdam Airport due to the normal runways being closed because of the weather, meaning the big A330-300 had to brake as hard as possible to stop in time in the about 3,000 feet of runway available. They came to a complete stop on the runway and then continued taxiing to the gate. This Boeing 737 landing in New York struck its wing into the ground.
Hey, that wing hit the ground.
It then went around for a second attempt and landed safely with some wing damage. This helicopter dropping a car at an air show in Sweden. This pilot was doing his third solo flight and was about to land, but bounced multiple times. This could have ended badly, but luckily everything was okay and it was a great learning experience for the pilot. This Boeing 787 had to land with no visibility, meaning the pilots have to trust the computer and the instruments completely.
Approaching minimums.
I'm putting inside.
50, 40, 30, minimums.
Landing.
10, 5.
Like that.
This race plane was doing a qualifying session at the 2023 Renault Air Races when its engine failed. The pilot was then forced to land without engine power. But he managed to do it safely and skillfully. This Delta flight landing in Omaha, flying through a big thunderstorm. This glider was being pulled by a group of people in order for it to take off, but it didn't gain enough speed and struck its tail on the hill before climbing.
O kurwa. No to tak.
This Fiji Airways Boeing 737 landing hard in a stormy Wellington, New Zealand, resulting in a go-round. A According to the submitter, the winds were at 50 knots. Watch as this Boeing 777 engine gets covered by condensation during a takeoff from Amsterdam. This Southwest Boeing 737 landing parallel to a United plane in Denver. These planes passing really close to each other.
And folks, a real nice view now on the left side. If you do have your camera shot, you can take a nice picture of this other jet.
This Jaws 39 Gripen releasing flares while showing off during NATO days in Ostrava. These houses are located right next to London Heathrow, one of the busiest airports in the world. And with planes constantly flying low over them, sleeping can be difficult. However, there are restrictions in place between 11:30 p.m. and 6 a.m. in order to reduce noise. Would you want to live here? Comment down below. These people standing behind an Airbus A320 taking off, which can be quite dangerous. This is very common at Skiathos Airport in Greece, and luckily this time no one was injured. This Airbus A320 was forced to divert and make an emergency landing after suffering a partial hydraulic failure.
And as I said earlier, we will stop on the runway because once we stop, I don't have any ability to turn my steering wheel to turn off the runway. So.
Seatbelt fasten until the seatbelt sign is turned off and keep the aisles clear.
This Airbus A340 was landing in Boston, but had to abort, resulting in a touch and go.
A340 600. Oh wow, it's doing a go around. Oh, she's doing a go around.
This F-22 Raptor climbing vertically, then falling down like a leaf. This cargo Boeing 747 landing at LAX was forced to go around at the last second due to wind shear, but it was too late and one of its engines struck the ground. After that, the go-around was performed and the aircraft diverted to another airport and landed safely. This instructor showing how to do a forward slip, which is used to lose altitude quickly without gaining excessive airspeed. This Airbus A321 landing hard, resulting in a bounce at Innsbruck Airport. These two F-15s making unrestricted climbs. This Boeing B-52 landed at RIA 2023, an airshow in the UK, to show off the plane. As you can see, it's so big it needs a parachute to come to a stop. When it was time to taxi back, the pilot taxied sideways to show off the B-52's ability to do so. But by doing this, the plane struck the runway lights and took them out one by one, destroying 18 of them. Luckily, the plane wasn't damaged and the lights are easy to replace. This plane was approaching an airport in Armenia when they hit a bird.
Minimum 200. $100. 50, 40, 30, 20. Retard.
Luckily, it didn't do much damage and they could still land safely. This Boeing 737 taking off from Birmingham got picked up by the strong winds right away, forcing it sideways. This PC-12 was following close behind a Black Hawk helicopter when it suddenly got caught in the helicopter's rotor downwash, almost resulting in a crash.
He caught the
Luckily, the pilot reacted quickly and saved it. This helicopter struck some high voltage power lines while doing a rescue exercise. Luckily, they were able to recover and no one was injured. This Boeing 757 suffered a problem with its landing gear, forcing it to use the emergency gear extension system. This basically unlocks the landing gear doors and lets gravity pull the landing gear down. This is also why the doors are still open. The plane then made an emergency landing with a blown tire and was met by fire crews.
Sorry for the shaky, he's always floating. Oh, I think he popped a tire. Crap. Oh, something's wrong. Yeah. Oh my. Oh, the gear's on fire. The right mains are on fire.
7 right.
Oh, this runway is going to be shut down for a while.
This water bomber bouncing multiple times before finally settling down to scoop up water. Beach Duke was landing when it blew a tire and went off the runway. It then had a propeller strike while trying to taxi back on its own. This passenger was on board a Boeing 737 flying into Salt Lake City and captured this lightning strike. This Airbus A350 making a rejected takeoff test with its brakes smoking. These two F-18s flying too low over a football game in Atlanta. The pilots flew at just a few hundred feet above the stadium, which was below the 1,000 feet minimum required by US Navy rules. Because of this, the pilots were permanently grounded. This Boeing 767 struggling to land, bouncing multiple times down the runway. And those are the best aviation videos of 2023 from the series. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching Weekly Dose of Aviation. Watch more by clicking on the screen, and I'll see you guys in the next one.